Mayor, members of the City Council, my name is Jim Hoover.
Hold for just 1 sec, just till we kind of...
I get a couple extra minutes if I start right now?
Yeah, no, oh, yeah, I guess you could. We have a lot of screaming going on down the hallway.
I hope. I'd say that's whistling, I hope.
Like a daycare or something. Maybe we could just close the door and proceed. Sounds good. Go ahead.
Mayor, members of the City Council, my name is Jim Hoover. I live at 3150 East Devils Lake Road. I'm here tonight to say congratulations, you're succeeding. If your intent is to chill the population of the city of Lincoln City from becoming involved in politics, it's working. By example, 10 days ago I was called by the attorney that you've hired without the public knowing anything about, or about the details, and asked if I'd be willing to answer some questions regarding the mayor, who also sits up here before us tonight. And I consented because I was really curious to find out what this was all about. So last Saturday, a week ago, I sat down in front of a Mr. Pope, who is hired by the city of Lincoln City through Spear Hoyt Attorneys at Law. Now, we don't know how much he's being paid, how much you're spending on this little activity, or what the details are that you've used to hire him. But Mr. Pope brought a list of questions with him, and I asked if I could see that list of questions, and he reluctantly, since it was sitting in front of him, showed it to me, and I have a copy of it in front of me tonight. He started off by summarizing the purpose of his investigation. So I think for people in the general public, the people watching tonight, who are wondering how their tax dollars are being spent secretly by the City Council, not secretly because you haven't said you're not going to hire somebody, but secretly because you haven't really said what it is you're doing with these tax dollars. He said his task was to investigate the mayor's conduct for possible violations of the city charter, the City Council rules, or city ordinances. And when I said, boy, that sounds awfully broad, he said, well, yeah, it actually is very broad. And I said, well, let me look at the rest of the questions that you're wanting to ask me. So he asked the first one, he asked about my background and how long I was in the city of Lincoln City, which I thought was kind of interesting since that has nothing to do with the mayor. And then he went on, he wanted to know if I own a vacation rental dwelling. And I thought, well, that's really unique. And so about this point, I said, how did you get my name? And he was really quick to respond by saying that he was given my name by the city attorney, and that one of the things he was investigating is whether or not there was an effort to get rid of the city attorney. And I said, that sounded like a conflict of interest. He said, well, it might have been. Now, it's interesting to say that a couple days later, when his conversation was actually going to be published in the News Guard, or the News Times, he called the News Times and changed his story and said, actually, it wasn't that he was given by the city attorney, that he was mistaken, that they were actually watching city council meetings for people like myself who were giving testimony, and then they were starting to talk to those people first, which I think has a really chilling effect on whether people are willing to come up here and speak openly with you about what they would like to see happen in the city of Lincoln City or their concerns. So after he wanted to ask me about my vacation rental dwelling, whether I had one or not, he wanted to know if I was a member of a Vacation Rental Dwellers Association. Well, quite frankly, I looked at him and said, what business is that of yours? Are you going to ask me about my ethnicity next, or my religion, my sexual preference, my orientation? And what does any of this have to do with the mayor? So the next question he was going to ask me, he said, is Ross Smith the founder of that organization? I thought, boy, that's a really strange question. But he went on, and his next question was going to be, when did I get involved with issues pertaining to the ordinance regarding vacation rentals? Then he went on, and he says, and he was asking these questions because I was reading them. He wasn't actually asking them at this point, but he brought them with him to ask. Have I ever been involved in any meetings where there was a discussion of vacation rental issues? Was there, at what point, this is a really interesting, he said, at what point did Jim decide, this was his note, that it would be a good idea to get rid of the city attorney? Was I unhappy with the city attorney over anything other than the vacation rental enforcement? So I'm looking down through this list, and about 80% of the questions have nothing to do with the mayor. About 80% of these questions are simply questions about myself. Now, At 6'2", 145 pounds, I'm not intimidated by a whole lot. But I can imagine a lot of people in Lincoln City, if they had an attorney that was hired by the City of Lincoln City Council, coming out asking them questions about their association with different associations, when they became involved in different organizations, what their views were on the city council or on the mayor or on the city attorney or on vacation rental dwellings. That might seem a little bit intimidating. So tonight you're going to be, choosing somebody to run for, or somebody to be on your city council. It's really interesting because I went around and I talked to a lot of people to see if they would put their name in as a possible candidate for you to appoint to city council. And what I found was most of the people that would oppose your view didn't want to have anything to do with being on your city council. And when I asked why, I said, well, if they're going to investigate the mayor for possible violations, what are they going to do to me if I disagree with them or if I vocalize a point that is less than popular with the rest of the city council? So congratulations. Whether you're intentionally trying to do it or not trying to do it, you're succeeding. You're stopping people from becoming involved in government. You're making decisions that you want to make that don't have opposition because you're discouraging people from coming up and giving testimony, and you're discouraging people from running for office because they don't want to be bullied by members of the city council that would hire an attorney. I would encourage you to make this public. If there's something that Mr. Williams has done wrong, let's talk about it. Let's not just go around and start. I tried all week to find the word that wasn't the witch hunt because I'm afraid that's not a politically correct word to use anymore. But let's do more than just have a witch hunt and go out and have this broad investigation, see if we can find something that sticks to the wall. See if we can find something that maybe we can hang somebody on who's a volunteer, who ran for office, who was elected by people. So as kindly as I can say it, shame on you. And thank you, Mr. President, for telling me my time is up.
Thank you, Jim.
Members of the council, Mayor Jim Hoover, 3150 East Devils Lake Road. Let's see if I can pick up where I left off. I had last said that this was a witch hunt. So I want to describe the process that Mr. Pope, the attorney that you've hired, described to me was going to go on with my public testimony. Because I asked him the question specifically. I said, are you recording all the public testimony that you're giving? Which he said, no. He said, I'm only recording those that people are recording. So I said, if you're not recording it, how do I know my answers are going to be summarized correctly? Because he said he was going to summarize the answers of all the people he was interviewing and then give a report to the city council, to which I said, will the report to the city council be a public report or will it be a private report? Because if you're not recording it and you're going to summarize it and then you're going to present that summary to a city council who's looking for something that the mayor did wrong, how will I know that my answers or the answers of anybody else that you've interviewed who has consented to be interviewed by you won't be taken out of context, characterized wrong, or just flat out stated wrong? And he wasn't able to answer that. So now we have a process where you've initiated an investigation with a contract the public doesn't know about, with an expenditure of money we don't know how much you've spent, or how long this is going to go on, or what it is you're going to investigate, with an investigator who is asking questions about people's private lives, not the mayor's, what associations, what groups they're involved in. He's going to summarize that. He's going to present to the city council as a document you're going to use to determine whether or not the mayor's done something wrong, but there's no way for me or anybody else to verify if what we've said has been characterized correctly. And if that just doesn't smack that it's a real problem possibly for the process, I don't know what it is. Now, it was really interesting. I sat here and watched tonight as you chose a city councilor. And I remember 2 meetings ago, we talked about the cost of an election. And I've been recently told that that cost, according to the county recorder, would be about $2,500 and would be done within 2 months. So for $2,500 in 2 months, we circumvented the voters of Lincoln City and instead had several city councilors appoint a replacement for over a 2-year term. And we still don't know how much you're spending on this witch hunt or how long it is, but I know the investigator was in town for at least 6 hours last Saturday. He drove from Eugene, so I'm assuming we have transportation costs one way. I know that was at least the second weekend because I've talked to a couple people that were interviewed or asked to be interviewed, and so I'm assuming he's coming back for another one because he said he wasn't done with his interviews. So I'm guessing you spent a whole lot more than $2,500 on this investigation. I'm guessing it's going to top, by the time you get your city attorney's time into it and everything else, a whole lot more than that. And yet we didn't spend $2,500 and wait 2 months to elect somebody to in a position so that the voters could be representative instead of people on a city council, most of whom I think ran unopposed. This is just really a problem for me. And if the citizens of Lincoln City don't see it's a problem, then I guess that's what it is. But I think that a majority of them are beginning to see really clearly that the only thing one person on the city council who's being investigated can possibly do is speak for the people who elected him, and as a result of speaking for the people who elected him, who might be represented by one person against the majority on the council who feel otherwise, it looks like he's being targeted. And you guys may not like to hear that, and you guys may choose not to listen to me, and you may choose not to listen to the other people on the city council, but it doesn't change the fact of what's going on with this investigation and the road we're going down and how it is. So I don't wish that you would be up at night thinking about this, but if you are, I hope that it speaks to your heart and you say, what's the right thing would do? Yeah, I was raised with a belief that you do unto others, you would have them do unto you. And I would ask how any one of you would feel if you were in a position where 5 or 6 people on the council were looking for something that you might have done wrong as a private citizen willing to run on a board, and how much you would like them to spend to try to find something in your life that you might be held accountable for. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else?
Council and Mayor, I'm Debbie Williams, and I just want to say, although this has been extremely uncomfortable to live through, that my husband and I are praying for each one of you individually. We're praying for this city. We only want the best for this city, and as far as it is up to us, I would like to have peace with all men. No matter what happens with investigations or whatever, we don't want to hold grudges. We don't want to have there to be divisiveness in the city. And I respect you for the time that you've put in. And that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?